Okay, we go. Hey everyone, welcome to Chat TGR. I'm Dan.
I'm Jake.
I'm Joe.
I'm Max.
Yes! Hey! I'm going to put my producer hat on today.
Where are you, Dan?
And let these guys.
Where is he?
I'm over here.
A voice from the heavens.
He's behind you.
Yeah.
It's Christmas. So we are delighted to be joined by Max Helyer is in and from Yumi at 6.
Jazz
so
hands.
cool, man. Thanks so
Jazz
much for
hands.
joining us. This is awesome.
Yeah, we completely sprung this on you.
No, in fact, no. I like the sporadicness of getting involved with the chat. TGR
There we
vibes,
go.
you know, it's all about it. When you've saved my bacon after this pedalboard has been a delight for me, and it's been a couple of years since I've been back in. It's been put through a lot of hard work over the last couple of years, and it was time to give it a bit of TLC, wasn't it?
Yeah, we overhauled it.
Yeah, we're giving it a bit of love, changed some cables, made sure it's all working, rocking and rolling.
One last time before.
Yeah, one last time before the end is in sight.
Yeah,
you know?
man.
So let's get into that for a bit.
Yeah.
So Yumi at 6, 20 years. But you're 35.
Yeah, I'm 34. I'm 34 now as we're filming this, but when it's finished, I'll be 35.
Far out, man.
So
Is it your first band?
first one that did anything? Correct. Yes, I played in local bands that really didn't achieve much.
Brother, you were like 6 then.
Yeah, it was
fine.
a long time. Yeah, freshly out the womb.
When did you start playing?
I started playing guitar at 12. It took
Wow,
me
man.
4 years to get a guitar from my parents.
4 years to get signed.
Yeah, but yeah, like that was kind of quicker than that. I was thinking it was 2, to be honest with you. So half the ratio. So yeah, I started at 12 playing guitar. Obviously, just kind of went from there, playing in local bands. Played in a band with Josh Franceschi, the lead singer of Yumi at 6, in another band before Yumi at 6, and I got kicked out. And
you?
yeah, I got
Really?
kicked out because I think somebody else was a little bit jealous of me coming in and being who I was. And when I got kicked out, Josh left with me and we started Yumi at 6.
wow.
Josh knew Matt, and then Matt lived 2 doors away from Chris, our other guitar player. And then Chris, Matt and myself went to music college with Dan, our drummer.
Cool.
And that really kind of adventure started off in 2007.
Was that ACM?
No, we didn't go to ACM. We went to a place called Brooklands Music College, which
Oh,
no
cool.
longer has its
Right.
music department there. So
Oh, that's a shame.
RIP, because it was a big haven for a lot of us and a lot of my friends who have achieved in music. If it's a guy called James Trude, who's now music director for WFB, who's done stuff with Dua Lipa,
Wow.
Amazing.
Kennedy, Post Malone, and then our friend Chris Smythe is now an agent at Wazzaman, so he now books bands. So a lot of us kind of went off from
That's
that
really
college,
cool,
and
dude.
George Reed, who was in Aluna George, and he writes and produces a lot of music. So it was a little hub of us that kind of just branched off from the college and went off and did things, surprisingly.
Amazing.
You
That's
know?
so cool, man. That's really, really cool.
Yeah,
Amazing.
so 20 years, it's been a long time. It's coming to the end of its endeavour right now, but I think there's a photo that is there with us 5 in
Hang on.
2007,
okay.
right?
Let's do that. So this is you lot in 2007.
Yeah.
Right. Check this out.
Us whippersnappers.
So you're how old here?
I'm 17 at that point. If it's summer of 2007, our first proper tour, I would say.
Joe, did you buy that van off them? So it's eerily similar.
It is, isn't it?
And so I had to look really hard at this picture, and then you said, I don't know why I was wearing that silly fluffy hat. So there you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Wow.
I've had a lot of changes, a lot of haircuts, a lot of different styles and looks over the years, but here we are now.
The hat was the
Okay.
most iconic.
Yeah.
So I just want to say that was 2007,
Yeah.
right? This is 2012 on stage at Wembley.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just
Man.
bonkers, man.
Unbelievable.
Okay, right. Can we just
Dan is
take us through
speechless.
that?
Dan
Take us
is
because that is an incredible journey, an incredible arc. How does that happen for a band, bunch of guys get together, and then 5 years later, Yeah, I know it's a big thing, but
No, it is, because it's still mind-blowing to me that journey happened.
Right.
And I think there was a lot of hard work and graft, and I think we came from the mentality of get in the van and tour and play to nobody, play to 4 people at a TJ's in Newport. Nobody turns up, but keep grinding, keep grafting, keep writing. Suck at your instrument, get better, progressively better. Same as the band, be not as great as songwriters, and then spend more time writing and developing with each other, spending time together, learning our crafts all together. And, you know, we went from our first album, from like really that first photo from 2007 with a collection of songs that was released in 2008 to, you know, with an independent management and record label, Ben Ray, who runs Slam Dunk Records and Slam Dunk Festival.
Wow.
And then, you know, from there, Craig Jennings, who is a Raw Power manager, who's now our manager again. We had a time that we split off from him. You know, Craig took us on board, and it went from being an independent act, grafting from small venues, to selling out the Astoria. As the last independent artist to sell it out before it was knocked down. To
really,
yeah, to then getting a record deal with EMI Virgin and taking that from there to Roundhouse up to Brixton. By the second album, Double Nights, and then Double Nights on the third album, but Brixton, and the venues got bigger. To that photo at Wembley was the end of the Sinners Never Sleep cycle, the Final Nights of Sin. Right. And that was the end of that album campaign. So, you know, I think that's a big pinnacle venue, Wembley, in my life. It was one of the first gigs I ever went to, seeing Green Day there. So to achieve that in such a short space of time, and I always say like this, and I've been saying it when we've been on tour recently, 20 years, saying goodbye to fans, because we're kind of going away and breaking up. But without the fans, we're nothing, right?
Yeah,
and without the support and the fan base, and I think we were lucky that we had a fan base that was similar to our age and kind of understood what we were doing. Younger people came in, older people came in, but the core of our fan base was really about our age. So right now, 34, 35.
And they've stayed with you that whole time.
And they've stayed with us this whole time. Some people go and they listen to different music, but the core's been there. So I think that was really why I think we got to that space in such a quick time, is because we spoke to an audience, because they looked at us and they went, we resonate with you. We resonate with you as a human, as humans, but also in what your storytelling is and what music you're playing, because that was a big part of us growing up all together.
So how did the songwriting work?
All of us getting into a room, in a practice room, bringing ideas together. Sometimes it would be a riff, you know, Lover Boy is a bass riff from Sinners Never Sleep that Matt wrote on the bass. He's like, I've got this idea, and played it, and we all just jammed it out in the room, and the song was created probably 2 hours later.
Wow.
Amazing.
Awesome,
you know,
man.
but then sometimes somebody would come in with a full identity of a song, or somebody would just jam on the spot, and things would just kind of happen like that.
Yeah.
So very much a natural, organic band environment, you know, which did change over the years, you know, from kind of getting producers' hats on or working with co-writers. You know, we've been very lucky to work with the likes of Ian Archer, who used to be in Snow Patrol. He's worked with James Bay.
Oh, wow, man.
You know, he's worked with some amazing songwriters and written some incredible songs. Joel Pott from Athlete, Harry Willits from Athlete. Who else? You know, Nick Hodgson from the Kaiser Chiefs. You know, we've been very lucky that we've rubbed shoulders and we've been in rooms of lots of great characters, and we've learned a lot from that. And I think that's part of the journey, is that the band gets to a point and then you try different things and you experiment and you do things that are slightly uncomfortable, that changes it, but without that you don't push forward. You can kind of stay stagnant. So, you know, I think we've been very lucky to have the journey that we've had in terms of a band, from us 5 being a core at very early years, and still to this day is a core, still the 5 of us, and the core DNA of that is the band and us 5, and that's why the way the band sounds.
Oh man, that's so cool. That's so, it is, you know, after being in bands for ever, and working with bands and musicians and stuff, it really is the dream.
Yeah.
You know,
well,
we're so pleased for you, man.
We're very
so
lucky,
awesome.
you know, and obviously we've worked hard, had a little bit of luck on the way, but we've enjoyed ourselves for 20 years. And I think that's why we wanted to kind of call it quits there, because it's like end on a high and really
okay.
positively. Let's not end on fallouts or breakups and, oh, right, you don't tour again. Our thing was we want to pay service, and best way I heard it described was you're going out on your deathbed with all your loved ones around you celebrating your life.
Yeah,
and that is the most important thing that we've always said as a band, is
Yeah,
that
that's
we wanted
lovely.
to end it right and not break up and not play for the fans again. So
Yeah.
we're
You want
lucky
it to
that we
be a
get to
swan
celebrate.
song, right? You want it to be this like thank you to everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, without the fans, we're nothing.
Yeah, man.
You know, and they're the ones that support us over a long time, Joe. So we're very lucky, like you said, swan song, going out in the right way and celebrating something that I've always wanted to do in my life. You
Yeah,
know,
amazing.
so very, very, very fortunate, and try and keep my feet on the ground and being humbled by that as well.
That's awesome, dude. So let's get into this. So this is a shot from Paris,
Yes.
right? Now,
That's on the most recent
it's
run,
just,
right?
Yeah, that was at the Bataclan. We've just come off our European tour for the final. It's called the Final Nights of Six now, because it kind of gives a
cool.
nod back to that Sinners era where we were playing Wembley, and that's kind of why we're ending 2 nights there now at Wembley. You know, so it's all kind of a nod to where we've been,
Yeah.
where we've come from in the journey. So this is the Bataclan that you can see on the screen recently. That was the first night of the European tour. And it's just obviously such a legendary venue in Paris,
Yeah.
obviously for good and for bad,
Yeah,
you know, for
for
what's
sure.
happened there. And it was literally a day or two after the 9-year anniversary of what happened with
Wow,
Eagles of
man.
Death Metal. And you could feel that energy in the room.
Yeah.
And
It
it was
that was 9 years ago. As
yeah,
well.
it was
That's
it was a very
Wow.
special evening for us, because Paris has always been great to us. But the reason why we picked it is because you can see the pedalboard. Come on, that's why we're
right.
here,
Creepy.
right?
Check it out.
That's
Yeah.
why we're here.
So how long have we been looking after you?
All the team at the TheGigRig have been looking after myself, I would say, for about 10 years
10 years
now.
now.
Yeah, I would say probably
it's about that.
about 10 years.
I had a guitar tech called Dean Robotham at the time, who
Good old Dean.
Dean and Alan Mack. I had a pedal board without a G2, and I was tap dancing a lot of my way through gigs. And I was getting frustrated because I was doing a lot more crazier stuff, so there's a lot more switching, and got put onto the G2.
Yeah.
And that's how we all met, and kind of formulated a pedal board, and obviously custom pedal boards as well. This is still the original shell of the pedal board.
Is it really? Oh,
Yeah, so
wow.
this is
Okay.
10 years of tour, and you can see it's all been battered and knocked about from flights. But the inside's changed a bit. Obviously, you can see there's a G3 there now, which has been a massive upgrade for me. But I've always been looked after by the TheGigRig, and really been, anytime I've had any issues, there's a call. I would always FaceTime you
get a
guys.
FaceTime from
You get a
you, yeah.
FaceTime of me being in Poland, and be like, this has gone on, what do you do? And I'm like, all right, just let's do this. We'll do that, and calmly navigate me through my situation. But I always try and come in and do an MOT.
Yeah.
Every year or 2 years, because it does get battered, it does
That's a
get
great
hit,
call.
you know, and things have changed, little bits have changed in and out over time, but this is really where I'm at, and I think 10 years of the Yumi at 6 DNA sound is here from my side anyway. And everybody's helped me here at the TheGigRig, you know, so been very
What-
grateful to have the experiences.
What I
dude.
always like when you FaceTime as well is that there'll be like about 5 minutes of just catching up, and then you're like, right, cool. So we're sound checking right now, and I'm like, everyone stood like, can you just wrap up the conversation? But you're like, how are you? How's your mum, etc. Like, oh, let's get on to the problem.
Family first.
I have to say, you are one of the few people I've ever met that has the most photographic memory of anyone I've ever met. And it always feels like you pick up a conversation, however long it's been, you pick up the conversation where it left off.
Yeah.
Well, that's true.
Which blows my mind.
That's true friendship, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter how long it's been and how long you haven't seen somebody. It's mutual love and respect for one
Yeah.
another. And that shows a real testament of great friendship.
There's a lot
I've
of love in
always
this
felt
room.
that coming through these doors
Yeah, man.
here at the TheGigRig. I've always been greeted with warm welcomes. Cup of tea, coffee, big hug, catch up. How's the family doing? How's the band's going? What's new? Have you got any new exciting products going on? Or have you tried any new pedals? And we're just conversing about the craft that we're all in.
Well, we always say that, you know, being into pedals is a lot to have in common with someone.
Yeah.
You know, and, you know, being in bands and stuff is, you know, how do you have a conversation about being in a band with someone who's never experienced it? How do you
Yeah.
tell someone what that's like?
Totally.
You know, you experience stuff. My still best friends with people I was in my first band with.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So
And
anyway.
the family that you choose.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely. So let's have a chat about then what your core sounds and the core DNA of your guitar sound in You Me at Six is. We're talking about the hotcake before, and I've used a hotcake for years. They're such an incredible thing. So I did an interview with Paul Crowther.
Yeah.
And such a great guy. And he used to be in Crowded House.
Yeah.
Did he really?
Sorry, not Crowded House. He used to be in Split Ends. He was a drummer.
Oh,
drummer
right.
from Split Ends.
That's a fact check there.
Yeah.
There you go. But yeah, really lovely guy. But man, the hotcake and the prunes and custard and the other stuff he makes, really
unbelievable
really great.
pedals. And I think really that we should start at the hotcake because that it has become my go-to sound for. Obviously, in my distortion, almost pushing to fuzz, breaking up, and it's that middle ground between it, right? It's not one or the other. It's just bang in the middle there.
Yeah.
And I think that pedal really complements my style of playing. I'm quite an aggressive player. Do more more rhythm than lead, but I do stray into lead parts as well. But I find it breaks up the sound for me in a way that just really makes me happy. Puts a big smile on my face. And it's such a dynamic pedal as well. You can do so much with it. But really, for my playing, from myself and Chris, our other guitar player, he's a bit more high gain, a bit more trebly.
Sure.
So
Okay.
I try and cover that chewier, fattier bit at the end of it just to solidate what's going on. So that's been my main pedal, distortion, fuzz pedal for probably about 9-10 years now.
Wow.
I was on a full tone OCD before that, which is a great pedal, don't get me wrong, but I was always just wanted a bit more out of it.
Yeah,
just
sure.
wanted a bit more mince, a bit more mince out of it. And that's what, when I got told about the hot cake, and really I got told because Noel Gallagher used it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And that's kind of, okay, I'll give one of those a go, and
Just
picked up one,
there
and
we
then
go. There's a hotcake.
yeah, and then one of the people I used to work with at Fender, Neil Witcher, used a hot cake, and that's really kind of part of my journey. But right, we see eye to eye. That's my main distortion, and plug in a Telecaster. Whoa, there it is. Like that's the sound.
The
And
thing I love about the hotcake as well, you can boost into it. Like a treble booster into a hotcake was my solo tone for years.
Yeah.
It's just awesome.
and that's kind of how I'm using it as well. I'm using a box of rock to boost on top of it.
Okay.
So that's just recently in the last year, I would say, just putting a bit more mince on it again.
Yeah,
just, just kind of pushing the pedals and all that in a different way. And I think best way to describe my sound is, because we've just gone straight into pedals, I use 2 amps. Live, I use an Audio Kitchen Little Chopper, which is my warm, huggy, low-end kind of sound, and a Fender Twin on a brighter, brasher sound, just before biting point. And that is both amps on at the same time, and then it feeds into my pedal board. And then I'm using the pedals as like, I'm just tone stacking up from there. My gain stages, yes. So that for me is really those 2 amps, and this pedal board is the DNA sound of my guitar playing.
Amazing.
So yeah, the hot cake is number 1, you know, for distortion, fuzzy kind of big Yumi at 6 driving chorus sounds. I use a JHS double barrel for my overdrive, kind of lighter kind of distortion overdrive sounds. I've got a JHS muffaletta in there if I really want to get a bit more fuzzier. The Strymons, I use a Mobius and a Timeline, which have been on my board since we've been working together.
Yeah.
They've been the core for my delays and modulations.
Talking about the muffaletta.
Yeah.
Because I asked you before, what was your favourite setting on the muffaletta?
Yeah.
And it is?
It's the JHS.
It's the JHS. It's like, they all sound great. But you get the JHS one, it's like, I don't know if they've purposely left things out of all the other ones.
Yeah,
You get to the
right.
JHS, it's like, oh, this is awesome. But it really does sound fantastic.
Yeah.
We had this conversation the other week that I feel like everything that has the JHS mod, switch, or mode, that's always like the slight ice on the cake.
It's the holy grail every
Always
time you
that.
get one.
Yeah.
But
Brilliant.
the thing is with the muffaletta, they've all got very individual kind of sounds, and it's great for studio, great for tracking and recording stuff. But for live, I just leave it on the JHS one because it just kind of sings in a different way that just kind of goes, oh, I'm here. And it's just like, well, that's great. That's all I want you to do. I want you to scream through being my main fuzz sound. And again, put a boost on it. Put a boost on it. Just push it. I'm always about push things out of the speakers, no matter where it's coming from.
So talking about being in the studio,
Yeah.
got a lovely shot of you and the board in the studio. So do you approach things differently in the studio than live? How do you do it?
Yeah, there is definitely an approach of the studio where it's just be fearless and just go for it. Because I think that's what I love about pedals and sound is the studios where you can really find what it does and how far you can push it. And then I go, well, if I've done it on record, that's just going to translate into live even better because I'm not mimicking or trying to recreate sounds. As you can see from that shot, we use my pedal board as a big foundation. And I think that was the joy of adding a guest send and return loop on my board, is that we're not having to rip pedals out. We're just kind of daisy chaining into the board. So I've got that, and it's an endless chain of other pedals that go in that now go, oh, well, that's really good. Now I've got to get that on the board.
Yeah, right.
So it kind of keeps it all really open and to play for. And studio-wise, I think it just allows you to push forward and try daring and being risk-taking. And that's what I love about pedals, because that's what you can do in the studio. You can take bolder risks and do things that you wouldn't do live. But then it translates into your live setting. If it gets recorded and you're like, that sounds amazing, that's the sound there. If it's anything with my Mobius or Strymon, if I'm doing it in the studio, I save that setting straight away. And I go, if I've recorded that, it's saved. And I can then take it into our songs live.
Yeah, you'd have to recreate it. It's there. It's captured.
So, that's been great fun with that in the studio. Like, as you can see, there's a bass micro synth from the back, if you can't see it, in a POG there that, have been very joyous pedals, and a new addition on the top deck, which I'm sure you can see, is the knife drop from Eventide and Third Man Audio, hardware stuff. So it's an incredible pedal, and it tracks really well. And what I like about it, it is different from the bass micro synth. It does a different thing. And for me, I love all that synthy kind of sub octave and fuzzy sounds, and it tracks really well. But it's not replaced the bass micro synth, because
I thought that's what it was going to be.
It's they do their own different things, and I love that. And
all three of those definitely have their own unique vibe, and it definitely makes sense why you're not getting rid of them.
No, and what I love about the board is that I use it if I'm in a studio, which I'm doing a lot more of, like producing or co-producing or songwriting, is I use my pedal board almost as like, how do you send things into it? Like new synths, like reamping stuff. If it's even vocals, putting vocals through this kind of chain, it really builds a character.
Wow.
And that's like 10, 12 years of building this with the TheGigRig, is finding my sound, tweaking it a little bit, but this is me in a board. And that's my character. And I've gone and worked with people recently. They're like, how do you do this? And I just turn up with my pedal board and my guitar and go, there.
Amazing.
Let's go. Let's make sounds and let's have fun.
That's the dream.
That is the dream. And it's, with the knowledge of the TheGigRig and helping me get to where I wanted to be, has allowed me to arrive at my destination. But I'm still not finished. It's a layover. I'm on a layover right now, you know what I mean? You're always trying to get to the next place.
That's the thing about being a musician, is you're never done. There isn't an end point. You're always going to be exploring and trying new things and learning, and that's like the joy of it.
Yeah.
There isn't a finish line.
Well, this for me is Yumi at 6, and obviously where we're getting to the end in 2025, April 4th is the last show at Wembley.
What's the fit? How does it feel?
It's bittersweet, I would say, finishing with the band, because it's been over half of my life has been in a band and achieving things. If I revert to being 15 or 14-year-old me in my parents' bedroom, my parents' house, writing songs, and go, 20 years' time, you would have had 2 #1 albums, toured the world, done this, done that. I'd sit and be like, are you taking the piss? Are you really like, no way you're going to do that. But I think, don't let people tell you what you can and can't do. Believe in yourself, manifest greatness. The dreamers who dream big get big. Yeah. And that's always been what I've tried to do, and have fun and enjoy the journey.
That's amazing, man.
And I look at myself and I'm going, I'm so glad that we've been told from people, you never do this, you never do that. But we're not Coldplay, we're not the world's biggest band, but doesn't matter, because I've had a journey with 4 of my other best mates and achieved things that we never thought we'd do.
Amazing. Yeah. And I love that.
And I've had fun with this.
Yeah,
this is where it's taken me. That's the #1 point.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, how great.
Yeah, powerful,
So,
man.
just to round things off, what's next for you?
What's next for me?
Once this, obviously, you're going on tour next year.
Yeah, next
and
year.
finishing off the You Me at 6.
Yeah, we've got Australia and UK with You Me at 6 that take us up to April 25. This side of 24, when we're filming it, I'm going into the studio with a band called Mouth Culture from the UK who have just been on tour with us in Europe and doing a few of the UK shows. I think they're an amazing band, lovely people. I kind of see a bit of myself in what they're doing, and that's why I just kind of gravitated towards them, and I really love what they're doing as a band. And they've invited me to go and co-produce their next single in the studio with them. So if that all goes well with them, then maybe it could be a record with them. But a lot more songwriting, a lot more studio time, a lot more tone exploring and hunting. And I think off the back of the band with You Me at 6, I would never say never to do another band again, because I love making music. I kind of just want to finish it in the right way and focus my energy of the last 20 years, end it in the right way before diverting my attention to somewhere else, and kind of use that energy to maybe write again. And I don't know how long that will take or what it's going to be like and who with, if it's solo or with a different bunch of new people or whoever I meet along the journey. But I'll always be in music, if that's being writing, creatively, behind the scenes, or advising and being a mentor for people, because I've had great experience for 20 years and learned a lot. And I just want to give back to the world now. That's really where I want to go.
That's awesome, dude.
That's for me is number one, is give back to the world you come from.
Amazing.
That's so cool, man.
Jake, Joe?
Yeah, just thank you for being a legend, man.
Yeah.
It's been an honor, like, working alongside you on this stuff. And
Yeah, Jake and Joe have been the forefront of it. Obviously, Dan is the brains, and I wouldn't have a gig rig without Dan, but Joe and Jake have been there and helped me along my journey as well. And every time I've come in and rebuilt the board and explaining what I'm doing, and they always tell me, oh, you could do this and you can do that, and you can parallel split on the G3, and you can change the order of the way the pedals are. And it's fascinating how much you can do with this. And you know, they've helped me achieve. So thank you too. And thank you, Dan, off screen as well,
so welcome,
for making
buddy.
a great product that I think you see a lot more people using now over the years. And for me, it still keeps it organic and it keeps it analog.
Oh, yeah, baby.
Yeah.
Well, mate, thank you so much. Always great to see you. Thank you so much for dropping in. Congratulations with everything. It's really
agreed.
inspiring, you know, to see that your journey and what you guys have done, and to have been sort of on the periphery for the last decade and sort of outside looking. It's been amazing. And so we're so pleased for you. We wish you, all the best, and thanks for coming and hanging out, man. It's been wild.
Thank you for having me. This was a sporadic off the cuff. We weren't going to do this, and Dan was like, we should do this. And it was all just because of getting the pedalboard fixed.
I think we brought you upstairs to go to the toilet, and Dan spotted you and was like, you up for filming right now?
Yeah, go for it. But I love that. Sporadic things can create beautiful moments, right?
Amazing.
And thank you for making such a great piece of product that any guitar player or bass player or anybody can get their hands on. And it's fun and adventurous and dangerous at the same time.
There we go. Love that. Brilliant. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
All the best. Talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Bye.